Hello everyone and welcome back to Maple Leaf Reviews. My name is Jeffrey.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are late to the party.
Late to what? Yeah, we are late to the party, yes.
We are doing our top 5 games of 2015. It's well into 2016, but I wanted to take time to play all the games that I really wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
And play them a few times so I can kind of see where they would end up on the list.
Yeah, and we definitely haven't played all of the games from 2015. We just played several of the high profile ones and other ones that we kind of picked out here and there that we thought would be good.
Yeah. So, without further ado, we'll jump into the list with our number 5s. We also did predictions for each other's list, so I don't know what's on his list.
Yeah, we don't know
I think I do know what's on your list.
No, he has no idea what's on my list. I know everything that's on his list.
Okay, well, we'll see how good you get.
We'll see how it goes. Now, remember, guys, if you like this video, make sure that you like it and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out, helps us continue to do these types of things. And yeah, we love it.
All right, so number 5 for me is The Voyages of Marco Polo.
Okay, yeah.
This was one that I picked up. It looked interesting enough. I didn't have very high expectations for it.
Okay.
But when I played it, I just loved it. I loved the player powers. Everyone is just like super overpowered with something.
Yeah.
The dice worker placement aspect was really cool. It was really fun to play around with, and yeah, just every game is so different.
Right.
With the different actions that are out there in the cities, the different player powers, all that stuff. Really great game. Really smooth, clean, plays fast, especially with 2 players.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that it would be balanced with those extreme powers, and you wouldn't think that the game would be different because it's a very linear map. Yeah. The map is always the same. It's just different town cards that are put down at each of the locations.
Yeah, and different bonuses for each of the towns, and also your goal cards of where you actually want to travel to is different. So you might take a different path or try a different strategy there.
Exactly. But yeah, there's lots of replayability in that game.
Yeah.
And I did have this on your list.
All right, so you're 1 for 1.
1 for 1.
So that's my number 5, The Voyages of Marco Polo.
Okay. Number 5 for me is a game that we recently played not too long ago, and we also did a review for this game not too long ago.
Okay.
And it is a very artsy-fartsy game, and that is The Gallerist.
Okay. So, I did not have this one on the list. I knew you liked it. I didn't think you liked it that much.
Yeah, I was looking at it from a perspective of how good overall this game is, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like from components, which are probably the highest I've ever seen in a game, to the gameplay, which is fairly heavy, and there's a lot going on there. Lots of replayability. I mean, it's just an awesome game. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah,
really
I think it's my favorite game from the designer Vitala Starter that I've played of his so far.
Yeah,
it's so clean. There's so much going on, but everything makes sense when you take the different actions. Yeah, it just flows beautifully together.
And the fact that there's only 8 actions technically. There's 4 action spots that you can move to, and each action spot has 2 different actions that you can potentially take. Yeah. So there's only 8 actions in the game, and yet there's so much depth. Yeah, that it's just, oh man, it's awesome. So cool. So that is my number 5, The Gallerist.
All right, so going on to my number 4 is from a company that I've liked all of their games so far. Okay. And this one is about building factories and running those factories. Okay. Nepal.
Sure.
Yeah. It's really good. It's so heavy. When I first played it the first time, I was like, okay, this game is okay. Then we played it a bunch more. And just every time I played it, it was just like peeling back another layer, and there was more and more depth in the game every time I played it. And now, I mean, I love it. It's so good. Such difficult and interesting decisions to make, and the difference in the decisions, they're so subtle, but they have such huge ramifications later on. Really great game. Nepal, that's my number 4.
Yeah, this is a really cool game. It's one that I really like as well. It's actually my favorite game from What's Your Game, which is the publisher. Really cool, man. Yeah, I like that game too a lot. The biggest thing I dislike about this game was actually the game board is very bland.
Yeah.
And, you see it sitting at the table and there's like no table presence there. It doesn't pop at all. You're just like, oh, someone must have like spilled something all over that game board.
Washed off all the graphics.
Yeah. Like this is just so barren and plain. But the gameplay and the mechanics are really cool. And there's lots of depth. Like you were saying, every time you play it, you're just peeling back another layer and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, so I can definitely see me playing this many more times and just discovering new tidbits every time I play it.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right, so my number 4.
Oh, did you have this one for me for number 4?
No.
Okay.
I didn't pick that one out for you. My number 4 is I'm cheating for my number 4. It's actually, I incorporated 2 games because they're very similar and they're very different at the same time.
Okay, so you're cheating.
So I'm cheating. I just wanted to make a top 6. But luckily for you, this gives you 2 opportunities to be right. So these 2 games are both dice worker placement games. And I think that's enough said.
Yeah.
For you to pick them out. It's Thrash and Roll and Marco Polo.
Yeah, very different games.
They're very different games, but they're both dice worker placement games. They have a similar feel in there that you're rolling these dice and you're putting them out in different locations and doing whatever the theme is in that game. Now, they are very different, but I've been struggling so hard to figure out which one of these I like better. Yeah. And I can't decide.
So why decide?
I just put them both at the same number. So, yeah, Thrash and Roll is dice worker placement with lots of variety in how you're using your dice because there's so many options. You're either making sets or runs and you have just tons of opportunity with virtual dice that it doesn't matter what you roll, you can always use it. And I love that. Whereas in Marco Polo, the thing I like the most about that is the crazy powers that we were talking about earlier and the variability and replayability in the game every time you play. So I just love both these games.
Yeah, I think what both of those games do really well is that they're dice rolling worker placement games, but the number that you roll on the dice isn't super critical. Yeah. It's not like some other ones where I think like Kingsburg, where the number that you roll can be super important in deciding what actions you can take that round. Yeah. In both those games, there's so many ways to either, add more dice or to change the face of your dices that it's secondary. That's not the whole thing to the game. Yeah. Is getting screwed over by your dice rolls. Right. Yeah, all right. I did have Thrash and Roll
on there
on the list for you. So we're both 1 for 2.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, so on to my number 3. It's a game that's already been mentioned on this list. Okay. By you, obviously.
What?
And it's the Gallerist.
Right.
It's really great game. I already said it's probably my favorite by Vital Lacerda. It's such a clean system, but with so much going on. It's just the actions are so intuitive and built into the theme. Oh, I'm selling a piece of art. What do I need to do? Well, I get it out of my gallery. I get the money. This guy's going to get it's just, it all works so beautifully together, and there's so much going on in the game and so much to keep track of. It's really awesome.
Yeah. It's such a cool game. It takes a little bit to wrap your head around the game. Like, we talked about this in our review of the game, which you can also check out afterwards. But basically, the first 2 times that I played this game, I was really struggling to wrap my head around it. And then it was about the 3rd play that I was like, okay, I think I got how I should be playing the game. Yeah. Because there's a lot going on. It's a brain burner for sure.
Yeah, and definitely where you can leave your assistants behind
Yeah.
to get you those bonus actions, and like you want to be taking advantage of those actions for the least amount of cost to you, because getting double actions essentially, or maybe you don't want to go to a space where someone's left an assistant behind right away and wait for them to not be able to take full advantage.
Yeah.
Like there's so much interaction in one action you take to try and just maneuver it just a little bit to be in your favor.
Yeah, you really need to pay attention to everything that your opponent is doing. And you also need to be prepared, because sometimes you just can't afford to leave a guy behind because you need to use him for something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, tough game.
So anyways, that's my number 3, the Gallerist.
And I had that on my list for you.
All right, so you're 2 for 3.
Got two so far. All right, my number 3 is a game that we've hyped up quite a bit in our review of this game.
Okay.
And we love playing it. It's about rolling dice and
taking names.
The game is Grand Austria Hotel.
Yeah, I knew this one would be on your list.
Yeah.
You're just like, hey, let's play a game. Grand Austria Hotel.
Yeah, how about Grand Austria Hotel? Really great game. I mean, there's so much going on in this one. You're rolling all these dice, and then the sides, you organize the dice based on what face they have going. And each face does something different. And the amount of dice of each of the faces determines how often or how many times you can take that action.
Yeah.
So if there's 5 number 1s there, you can take the number 1 action 5 times. And you want to be efficient. You want to be optimizing your plays. So if there's only 1 dice down there, you generally don't want to take it, but sometimes you have to, because you need that specific action that die is tailored to.
Yeah.
Man, there's so much going on in this game.
Well,
it's really cool.
I'll kind of just lead into my number 2, because my number 2 is Grand Austria Hotel. So I'll just continue on with saying, yeah, it's a really great game. The combo-y nature of this game is what makes it so awesome for me, because you only get 14 actions in the game, and that might seem like, oh, what can you do in a game with only 14 actions? And this game proves that you can do a lot. By the end of the game, you're looking at your hotel and you have all these rooms filled, and you had all these guests come through, and it's all about the combo. It's all about, okay, I do this, I get this room, that put him up there, that'll get me this, and you just do, and you get this turn that just kind of fits in place, and you do all this stuff, and it just feels really, really great.
Yeah, I would say you take probably twice as many free actions in this game as you do normal actions.
Yeah.
So for every action you take, you're taking 2 free actions for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's all about optimizing those free actions and just getting everything done that you need to get done. And it's a very tight game with money, and you're on a timeline as well, because on round 3 and 5 and 7, there are these specific scoring methods, and you need to be in a certain place when those hit. Yeah, otherwise you're getting penalized. And the people who are there, they get benefits.
Yeah.
So it's a big swing if they made it and you didn't.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you're on point. Yeah. Really cool game.
So that was my number 2 is Grand Austria Hotel, and your number?
My number 3. So on to my number 2 game. Oh, and I did have Grand Austria down for my pick for you. So my number 2 game is a really cool theme, a very unique theme that you don't really see very often. And this was a Kickstarter game that I backed.
Yeah.
And it's about magicians. And that game is Trickerion Legends of Illusion. So this game is really brain burner. There is a ton going on, and the setup alone is like almost longer than the game.
Well, I don't know about that, but the game is pretty lengthy. But yeah, the setup is probably a game in itself.
Pretty much. There's so much going on. But it is a worker placement game, and you're sending out, or at the beginning of each turn, you're putting down these cards, selecting where each of your workers is going to go in this town to prepare you for doing these tricks throughout the week. And everyone reveals all these cards, and then you can look across the table and you can see where everyone is going to be putting their workers. But there's limited spaces as to where you can put those workers. So then in turn order, you're going around each selecting one of your characters, and they have to go to the place where you've told them that they had to go. So it's all about optimizing where you want to go and who you want to beat there, because being first at a location gives you more access to different things that you can do at that location.
Yeah.
And man, this game it's tough game. There's a lot going on, but it's also a very tight game. The last 2 times we played it, I tied for first place.
Yeah.
And it came down to a tiebreaker to see who wins.
Yeah, it's for the amount of different things that you're all doing to still end up with a tie.
Yeah.
I think it is crazy.
Yeah, everyone has unique magical acts that they're putting on that do different things and give you different bonuses, and everyone has different cards, and you're selecting those cards throughout the game. You're learning new tricks, and everyone has access to the same ones, but only one person can ever know that trick.
Yeah.
So the fact that there are all these different tricks that you can learn, and it still comes down to a tied game for the win on the last 2 games we played, that just shows me that everything is really balanced in this game.
Yeah, and I think I really like this game. I think what kind of kept it off the top 5 for me is just the amount that's going on, the amount of moving pieces that you have to get into place to play the game.
Yeah.
Will probably keep it from getting to the table as often as it probably should.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if they had like just a little bit more streamline, even just to the setup,
yeah,
I think it would make it hit the table more and probably would go up higher rating for me.
Right. So that just means that this game really needs an insert. So if you create inserts, create one for Tricarion Legends of Illusion.
All right, so that's your number 2. I did have that one on the list.
Yes, well, that's kind of cheating because I tweeted earlier today about how this was on my top 5. So I kind of gave that away.
Oh, well,
but
hey.
I think you probably would have picked it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, on to our number 1s then.
On to number 1. Shall we just say it in unison?
Time Stories.
Yeah.
So we both picked Time Stories. We both knew that we picked Time Stories just because we are just always wanting to play it. And tomorrow we're actually going to be getting
the Prophecy of Dragons
the next expansion.
Yeah, I mean, if there is ever a game that deserves, I think, to be Game of the Year,
yeah,
it's Time Stories.
Yeah, it is. It's such a unique game and such a good game on top of that. Like, there's nothing like this out there.
No. It's, the whole storytelling, the way it gets people engaged at the table, it gets the gears in your mind going, and because there's so much going on, even from run to run, if you do one after another, the second one you're still like, well, wait a minute, where did we get this guy from? Or no, we got that over there. And no, I think we got it over here.
No, we definitely did not. We got that over here. I remember that card.
Yeah, so it's just it gets the brain working in weird and wonderful ways. It gets everyone talking at the table. It creates for some awesome storytelling elements. It's awesome. The art is awesome. The game is just awesome.
Yeah, it really pulls you in, and the stories are so unique. Yeah. That it's just, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I hope they just keep putting out expansions for this game.
Yeah,
because I'll get them all and I'll play them all and hopefully I'll just have fun with this game for years to come.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about this game is I think you need to go into it as this is an experience, almost more than I'm going to go into this game and it's going to be the best game ever. Yeah. You need to go into it going, okay, this game is going to be an experience game, and it's going to be like nothing I've ever done before, and that's going to be cool. And if you go in with that mindset, you're going to have a blast.
Yeah, play it up as like an RPG.
Yeah. More
so than just a mechanical board game where you're manipulating the pieces.
Yeah.
Throw in some story, throw in some character to the characters that you're playing, and just, make it make it a story, make it an experience for everyone at the table.
Make it your own game by adding in the story, adding in little bits of flavor, because you're an individual character in that story. And if you play up and role play just a tiny bit, it can add so much flavor to the experience. And that's what it is. It's about the experience. My one worry about this game and all the hype that the game is getting is that people are going to be let down. They think they're going in for this amazing game with all these crazy mechanics and just an awesome overall game. And it is, but it's more about the experience than it is about even playing the game.
Yeah.
So go into it as an experience.
Well, and
you'll have fun.
That's our top game of 2015 for both of us.
Both of us.
So it has to be good.
Has to be good.
And that's Time Stories.
We just told you it's good. It has to be good. You're going to love it.
So we both had 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
So I think we have a pretty good handle on each other's taste, and we had quite a bit of crossover.
Yeah, quite a bit of crossover.
Time Stories crossed over, Grand Austria Hotel, The Gallerist,
awesome games, yeah.
and The Voyages of Marco Polo. So
yeah,
4 crossovers on the top 5 list.
Wow. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
So the one game that I had predicted for you
right,
was Xenoshift.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that you would have put this one on here for sure. Then just because of the sheer number of times that you've played the game. This is probably your most played game of 2015.
Yes, it is. It is, for sure. And what I did, it was on the list. It was there for ever since I started making the list. It was there. And then I sat down and I looked at it and I broke the games down to how good of these games are overall.
Yeah.
And when I look at Xenoshift, there's a lot of flaws and there's a lot of kind of downsides to Xenoshift. And as much as I played it and as much as I love it, I didn't think that it's going to be a majority of people loving the game.
Yeah.
So I decided to switch it out with another game that I thought was better overall, mechanically.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
So what one did you have on the list for me?
Let's see. It looks like Signore.
I do really like that one.
I was so close. You know, it's like right beside Nepal.
It is really good, and it would definitely be in my top 10 for the year. But right. I mean, the top 5 games were they're just great games.
Yeah,
and to get into that was just a little bit too hard.
Yeah, I knew going into Nepal that you didn't enjoy it as much in the first couple games, and then you started enjoying it more in the later games. And I know that Signore you loved right off the bat. Yeah. So I thought that would take the edge and it would kick out Nepal.
Oh, really?
But I was wrong.
You were back?
Yeah.
I guess just overall my thoughts for the year of 2015. I mean, I think it was the best year in gaming for me.
Yeah.
I think out of my 100 games that I have in my collection, 25 of them are from 2015.
Yeah.
And there's none that I currently have that I'm planning on getting rid of from 2015. So I mean, I just think it was a great year to be in the hobby. It was just awesome. So many great games came out.
Yeah, if you're just getting into the hobby, you picked a great time. Any of the games that are coming out are awesome. Though I guess the ones that we picked, the majority of them are a bit heavier.
Yeah.
So they're maybe not entry level games that you should be getting into, but yeah, these are all awesome games.
All right, guys. Well, that's our top 5 games of 2015. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'll really help us out a lot. And we'll see you all next time.
All right. Thanks for watching, you guys.